Me to my next point. College. College is a fucking scam, bro. And what made me think about how college is a scam is the group project. Now, I covered this in a previous stream. I'm going to go through a really quick one. But what made me really think about it was this video.
That thing on your neck that wouldn't
Whoops,
heal.
sorry. So this is the 6 girls you'll see back home. You'll see back home, and it was just funny to me.
This is you. This is you visiting your family for the holidays. This is you 10 minutes later. It's time to go out for a bit. She always thought you were a little creepy in high school. You don't.
Oh no, this is the wrong one. Sorry, it must have been playing while I was there. Yeah, sorry. The 6 girls you date in college. My bad. My bad.
This is you in college, and these are the 6 girls you'll date in college. Were you ever good at sports? We don't know, but the daily 4 a.m. burritos haven't helped.
You okay?
She looks better in track shorts than literally anything else.
Come on, baby. You can do it. 10 more yards till touchdown!
However, no matter what the activity, you'll always end up the same way. Wheezing, doughy, and begging her to slow down.
Yo, so funny story. I dated an athletic girl in college. Absolute facts. Now, when it comes to the other things, that didn't happen. I was in shape. I was doing table tennis, and I was training for the Olympics. But, or at least I was training with that as a goal in mind. I wanted to start competing in tournaments. I wanted to raise my rating and actually get on the the NA team. But when you're in college, a lot of what you think about is this freedom of thought, this freedom of expression. Now I know I'm going like in different directions. Follow me here. Follow me here. So what made me think college was a scam is you'll date all these types of people, and none of them really have anything further than college in mind. A few of them will have future plans. A few of them will have like, okay, things that we should do, things that we could do. But what about college really funds or fuels your push forward in society if it's not presented to you in a way that's easy to ingest? Obviously, if you're talking about specifications, you could go into trade schools, you could talk about vocational schools, et cetera, non grata. But at the same time, what about like the people who want to go into business but need that hands-on experience? What about the people who want to be writers? Like you can learn everything you can about writing in English, but when you get out there and you start to publish a book, you don't have any connections for that. And people say, "Well, colleges to make those connections." A lot of colleges don't do great at bringing those connections to you. All it is a list of like, oh, here's who's gone to this college and here's what they've done after. If you want to contact them, like the alumni programs are generally shit. You got to get involved into them even to get anything out of them. I feel like a lot of what college represents now is a dead science. Half the shit that you can learn in college, you can learn online. There should be things for that. There should be immediate placement programs like, oh, you're interested in running a business and I'm going to keep using this because this is kind of not my experience or my want or goal, but it's more like what I wish was my end game. Oh, you want to start running gaming tournaments and you want to start a cafe of sorts for like video games. All right, we're putting you in contact with this guy who runs one and you're going to work as his intern. And that's the class for the half a year or even a year. Put people in direct contact to what they need and want out of college, as opposed to making them take these stupid general education classes to round out their college experience. Knowing some people just aren't great at math, and you're holding them back from getting a degree. Y equals mx plus b allows me to think about things in a linear pattern, but I'm pretty smart enough to be able to put that together if I graduated high school. Don't treat me like a fucking high schooler when I'm in college. I'm an adult now. I have to get my life together. I have to be able to put these things on paper and into practice as best as possible. College doesn't do that for you. It really doesn't. And you know it doesn't. And we sit here and pretend like the rising costs of college are even worth what you get out of it. Yeah, it gets you access to this. I'm not saying every field shouldn't have it, but like, okay, let's take medicine for example. When you get into the medical program, that's a whole program that puts you specifically in a residency to become a doctor or an RN or a phlebotomist, etc. It puts you directly there. Why don't we have that for more things, if not everything? Seeing this pandemic, certifications can be achieved online. I could get started immediately, and I don't have to waste $40,000-$50,000 a year to say I graduated from here. Because what does it really show in the end? Can you do these things? Most people learn half the shit that they learn on the job. Most of the people that learn half the shit that they know are from people sitting there just listening to them talk. Let's put more of that. If we're gonna have these classes, I appreciate, professors. Obviously, I'm one myself. But the thing that I liked about being a professor is when I taught filmmaking, music, and photography, I was in that field actively. I wasn't telling them here's the lowdown, here's the things that you need to know in order to be able to be a great photographer. No, here's the business as it is today. Here are things that I've done to get better at it, and I want you to do those things in order for you to directly get into the field. All right. Instead of us spending time learning camera functions, let's try to build your portfolio up as we do it. One of your assignments is to actually book a shoot. Oh, you have trouble with that? Let's figure out how to get from point A to point B. Let's get some money in your pocket. Get them actually in there, working, like physically there. So that way, let's say they don't like it. They learn the skills to be able to market, business, setup, production, presentation, all of that encompassed inside of one thing. Instead of me just saying, well, f-stop is the amount of the blade, the covering of the blades inside, like all that dumb shit. Put them, and that's why I kind of like universities like Full Sail. I know a lot of people have different opinions on it, but I like things that are centered. The whole campus is centered on this is the focus. If you're in this program, if you're for this degree, we're getting you into the field immediately. We're not, oh, you graduated, congrats, good luck. Like, we're getting you into the field right then and there. We're not focusing on math and reading the Bible and being able to dissect it. That doesn't matter to me. I could do that on my own time. Make those classes quicker. General ed classes shouldn't also be, that's another thing. I'll take it to make me think that college is a scam. General ed classes shouldn't be taking up the majority of your time. You shouldn't have to be pumping out essays. Now, I do agree on learning things like world history, having a rounded out education on things that are going on around you, but they should be more focused on the present and not learning the past, because the people who were in the past are fucking up my present right now, and I don't want them in my future. So whatever you want to do with that, man, you take it. But we're going to continue.
You hate places like this. Never mind. You love places like this.
I love places like this.
Your friend's a promoter or DJ, whichever is cooler.
You're funny.
Is there a non-alphabetical difference between E and X? Cut to 6 weeks later. You're out of money, too tired, and have no idea what your pants are made of.
Wake up. I know the bouncer at Prolapse.
You wouldn't give up this nap for all the coked up sex in the world. Happy dinosaur riding.
Yeah, I've been there. Not like deeply into the party scene, but I had my little, I'm gonna go to a club and like try to pick people up or type shit, and I'm gonna go out and drink every night. I had those, waste of time, which is another thing. The whole idea of the college experience. It's not all rages and parties and all this and that. It's you having to focus on work while trying to like you use your younger years to actually experience life. And if you're not on a college campus in another state or another city or town, like you're living in the same place that you grew up in, you're involved in your community to the point you've got friends, family. Like there's no time for this. And then you feel like, "Oh, damn, I missed out on that. Damn, I was a kid and I could have been doing this and that, but I was focused on schoolwork and I like there's too many messages about how college should be versus what it actually is. And everybody's trying to hype up the college experience, be out on your own, do all this. They don't even build up your skills to know how to keep your diet the correct way while you're like slaving over a computer screen for 6 to 12 hours a day trying to type out that 20-page report. And when you finish that report, you get a grade, and it's like, great, I did it. I researched, I did my work, and I came out with a great paper that my professor thought was great. All right, but if I don't make enough money, where's the food stamp office? Like, do you even know how to work through that process? You don't, because they don't care about that. They don't care about you as a individual. You will meet professors that will go above and beyond. Don't get me wrong. Like me, like me, you will meet those professors, but that's not our goal. We do that because we have a love and affinity to understand students in a way that's different than the general teacher caucus. We have a way of thinking about things that allows us to say, I'm going to take a risk here and show my students this because I think it's more important. They don't emphasize that. That's not what you learn in teachers college. You know, you see all these movies about how, or the joke from for fucking South Park. How can I reach these kids? But it's a real thing. Because I'm not trying to reach you to say, "Oh, I want to save your life. I want you to live like I know how dangerous that society is for people who don't have a great education, because you will fall into these traps of thinking that you can't make it out, you can't make it out of your surroundings, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I'm going to give you enough tools to say, "Oh, wow, I learned about let's say I learned about English and literature in a different way, but I also learned a lot of life skills, and I learned to be able to express myself to different groups of people in different ways, so that way everybody knows that I am this person, strong mentally, strong physically, and I'm able to overcome the challenges of even approaching a topic that I don't know about without opening my mouth and sounding stupid." That's not college. That you got to get lucky. And I hate to say it, but you got to get lucky, because a lot of teachers don't care. They're there for the paycheck. A lot of professors don't care. They're there for the paycheck. They're there to make sure, okay, as long as my students are doing great. I had one class I always talk about. I had a music class. And in that music class, I was doing terribly, but I couldn't figure out why, because I was tutoring people and their grades were going up because of the work we were doing. So I'm like, if I get it enough to help people, how am I not getting it enough to be able to do this myself? And then we had our midterm, and everybody but like 5 people in that class failed the midterm. And the people who passed it got grades like 95, 77, 80, like 71. So it was so bad that she had to curve everyone's grades up 5 points. And I was like, damn, she even said it in class, like, I don't know what's going on here. If you guys aren't reading the material, if you're just not interested, or if I'm not teaching it the right way. And it made me think, if everyone's doing that poorly in the class, we're all paying money here, and it can't be all of us. It can't be all of us if the common denominator is you. Now, there are certain situations where you'll meet a new group of people, or as a professor, you'll meet a new group of students where they learned something before, and you have to kind of deprogram them out of that thought to be able to teach your method. But at the same time, you have to adapt to that and say, okay, what do you guys know? So I can pull back and say, all right, they learned it this way. They are learning these things, or the accessibility to these things this way. How do I formulate a way around that, so that way they can both get the information but not have their brains scrambled into thinking in a whole new way in under 16 weeks. They don't care about that. They don't care about that. She didn't care about that. So what ended up happening was, and this is why I had trouble in college, she emailed the chair and was like, yo, he should drop out of the class or work really hard to get a C, which she even said, I don't think that's like gonna happen. And I was like, okay, all right. First of all, everybody failed, not just me. And then she emailed the chair with my old grade before she curved everybody's grades. So I'm like, you couldn't email that too? You couldn't mention that? Nope. College is a scam.
Sorry.
Face it, you're a nice guy.
Do you drink all of those beers?
But to her, you're James Dean with Wolverine claws. It's fun to play the crazy guy. But there's no crazy like real or repressed crazy.
Not tonight?
No.
Fine.
The worst part? She's still going to wake you up for 8 a.m. Mass. This is it. The perfect 10. What years of television, print advertising, and internet porn have taught you
Baby, you're not using the couple's wallpaper I gave you.
Why you? She saw a Wes Anderson trailer once and thinks you're quirky. Who cares? Look at her. How long will it last? What's your tolerance for crippling insecurities and Kesha?
You watch Teen Mom without me? You're just like my dad.
You'll keep a picture of her to show to friends. She will not. She's the only girl who can beat you in Mario Kart. She's the only girl who will play you in Mario Kart.
Oh, you drive like my floppy vagina.
Shut up. Ah, money, not
Relaxed, comfortable, always by your side. It's like dating your hoodie. But who in their right mind would want to f their hoodie? She's funny, smart, beautiful, and all you're doing is wondering what she's doing there with you.
Is everything okay?
Come on, be confident. You're not going to mess this up. You won't mess this up. You won't mess this up. How did you mess this up?
We can still be friends, right?
You were too afraid of messing things up, and that messed things up. Maybe that's irony. Don't look at us. You're the one with a liberal arts degree. That was college. Time to move out, get a job, and spend your days watching internet videos. Maybe you'll even get a real girlfriend.
Facts, though. Yeah, you're too afraid of messing things up. College is a fucking scam, yo. I keep telling y'all this from jump. I did this one in a previous stream. I'm not gonna do it again.
Moving out is one of the most exciting milestones of any young person's life. You define young as roughly under 30. And from the moment you start looking for your own place, right up until you start living off microwave noodles and Lucky Charms, the entire process is filled with unexpected things that no one has ever told you about, but they really should have. So the first thing that happens, obviously, is deciding to move out. Because in this day and age, if your parents decide to kick you out, it's honestly like throwing a baby bird out of the nest when it's still an egg. Or like releasing a domestic rabbit straight into the wok of a Chinese restaurant. So then, assuming you're personally ready to take the leap, the next thing you say to yourself is, alright, do I want a roommate or not? And of course you don't, but check with your savings account because it's the one that calls all the shots in this relationship. Now once you deal with that hurdle, we start getting to the exciting part, which is looking at places to move to. So open up Craigslist, and using their interactive map that shows you nearby listings, you can start looking at places in the most expensive parts of town, and then gradually lower your standards as you come to grips with reality. Then when you finally find a place that you'll settle for, you have to send a message to the owners and hope they'll also settle for you. Now a lot of people see a place they really like, but tell themselves, oh, there's no way I'd qualify, it's probably gone already, it's too expensive, and the owners would never lower the rent for me. So they aim too low and end up dissatisfied. So when it comes to contacting different owners or landlords, you really need to think of the whole situation like dating. And just like when you're into someone but are too afraid to ask them out, remind yourself that you're never going to see that person again and that you have nothing to lose except all your self-esteem. Now, an important thing to keep in mind if you get interviewed or have to fill in a detailed application is not to overthink the dumb questions. Do you play drums? Just say no. Do you have many parties? Just say no. Do you have a lot of loud sex? That one's self-evident. Questions are as blunt as you think they are. It's not some personality quiz. You should treat it like the part of the customs form at the airport that asks you, have you been involved with a terrorist organization in the last 7 years? Don't start thinking, well, technically it's only been 6 years and 8 months. It's a trick. Just put no. This all ties back to my golden rule. If you're a terrorist, don't say you are. So if you do get lucky enough that they're still interested in you despite your lack of experience, the property owners, they're going to ask for a letter of recommendation from your previous landlord. So tell them, no problem, I'll ask my mom. They're going to love that, and then they might also ask for a reference from your employer, so I like to link my YouTube channel and hope for the best. So far, the best has never happened. Now, assuming the landlord has for some reason chosen you as the most qualified person for their unit, it's time to sign on the dotted line. And as you struggle to write your name cursively for the first time, you can quietly reassure yourself that you're an adult. As we flash forward a couple weeks later, when it comes time to move in, if you have roommates, that's great because they can help you move all your stuff, as in your computer. So once you stock up on the essentials and it's actually livable, after only a few days you'll notice there are a million things that are going to happen that you didn't expect, like getting calls from your parents where they sound suspiciously happy. There's also a ton of things you have to learn that they never taught you in school, like how to stop the government from taking away your electricity and avoiding starvation. If you live with a roommate, you have to constantly deal with their shit. Them not doing the dishes, not putting away their clothes, internet usage spikes at 1 a.m. or whenever they take a shower for some reason you pretend to not understand. And of course having to deal with neighbors who get way more sex than you. But on the other hand, if you live by yourself, you have to constantly deal with your own self-sabotage because no one can hold you accountable for anything. Like when you first move in, you're thinking, oh man, I'm going to keep this place spick and span, have my friends over every weekend, host a cocktail night for my family, learn to cook, take an hour every evening before bed to read and relax. But 3 months later, you'll be lying on an uncovered mattress at 3 a.m., listening to your neighbors try to save their marriage, and wondering how long it would take for someone to notice if you didn't wake up. Finally, a month or two later, you'll get hit with your first bills. Water, heat, electricity, internet, phone, Netflix, and more rent. This is the price you pay for growing up, but don't worry, we all regret it. The good news is you only have to deal with it for around 60 more years, and by then, maybe you'll even have your own kids who will still live with you.
So that's the end of that college experiment where I thought to myself, yeah, moving out like is a really, really difficult situation just because what ends up happening is not only all of that, but in this economy, are you really making enough money to want to be able to afford your own place? Like, if your parents are still letting you live with you, then you're kind of dealing with the roommate situation on top of that. Like, they have it stable, they must have a job, they must have everything set up. So it's like, yeah, I can support and give rent. But at the same time, like, are you really going to move out and give yourself all that grief to spend $4,000 to be able to sit in your house by yourself and be like, the sound of silence? That's the goal that I need, but it's for different reasons that I will eventually tell you in a different stream that has something to do with the title, but I'm not going to be so specific about it right now. I wanted to